Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And we're continuing our reverse alphabetical survey. We are on Haydn. Oh, so much Haydn. Haydn upstairs, Haydn downstairs, Haydn everywhere. You can't have too much Haydn. And this particular clump consists of, there we go, here's more of it, string quartets. Lots of string quartets. Beginning with lovely Opus 76, performed by the Takács Quartet on Decca. Now, they left Decca for greener pastures, meaning Hyperion, where they've done some other beautiful Haydn, Opus 73 and 74, and some other things, all of which I have. But, oh, this is just lovely. This is from 1988 and 89, back when major labels still cared about things like chamber music, only briefly, because back then there was just no way. By the 90s, oh my goodness, that's when the terminal rot set in at the major labels. There was no way a not terribly well-known Hungarian string quartet was going to be able to do Haydn quartets and get any support whatsoever from their label. And so this is a twofer. And it's beautiful. They're beautiful performances of amazing music. We've talked about Opus 76 many, many times, and we'll continue when we do the Haydn Symphony, the Haydn String Quartet Sojourn. I think it's going to be a sojourn, not a crusade, because it's chamber music, and you sojourn through chamber music. You crusade through symphonies, whatever. Then we've got, let's see, string quartets with the Amadeus Quartet. This may just be just about all the ones that they did. It includes the 7 last words, and you get Opus 54, 55, 64, 71, 74. No, it's not all of them, but it's most of them. And these are really, really fine performances. You know, I've said it before, the Amadeus Quartet, at the time that they were doing these, they were one of the few groups that had a real investment in doing Haydn quartets on a major label, and good for them. It wasn't a complete cycle, but it was a very, very good survey. And their performances were lean and exciting and tasteful and artistic. And, you know, there's so much less that period instrument groups bring to Haydn string quartets than modern quartets did. Probably that's why the period instrument performances often sound so horrible, because really, it's a question of string technique, and string technique hasn't changed in like thousands of years. I know the period instrument people will scream about, like, you know, curved bows and vibrato and horsehair and catgut and things like that. But the instrument hasn't changed, and the technique for playing it hasn't really changed. And the sound of it, the ideal of violin sonority, which is a beautiful singing vocal timbre, shouldn't have changed. And it's only the people who think it has changed who make horrible quartet recordings. And Amadeus always had their own special sound. Violinists have their own special sound. And they should. They shouldn't play to a treatise. They should play to their own special sound. And this group had it. Some people didn't like it. Some people thought Norbert Brainin, who was the principal violinist, had a bit of a febrile vibrato. And you know what? He did. So what? That's what he sounded like. It's just like vocal music. Some people prefer it. Some people don't. So that's as far as it goes. So this was lovely, and it's really, really nice to have. It's in, of course, the big Amadeus box, which was out of print, I think, before they even released it. But then there were some really good period instrument groups, one of which was the Apponyi Quartet. This Opus 33 I've always loved. This is really fun. And the funny thing about it is that the leader here was Gottfried von der Goltz, along with Petra Müllejans and let's see, Christian Goossens and Guido Larisch. These are some of these people became the Freiburg Baroque Orchestra, where they sound absolutely horrible as often as not in classical period orchestral music. But maybe this was before they went crazy. I don't know. It's a fun, vibrant, exciting performance of the Opus 33, the joke quartets. You know, the scherzi quartets is what they're called. It's because they have scherzos instead of minuets, but the joke is in here, and oh, they're so much fun. And it's a really, really lovely disc. I wish Gottfried von der Goltz hadn't touched orchestral music. Then we've got one of the great Haydn quartets in the universe, quartet records in the universe, the Endelian String Quartet. They only made 2 Haydn discs. They were later coupled together on a twofer. They did, what was it, Opus 74, I think? It was 73 or 74. Well, we have it over there. And this disc of Opus 54, numbers 1 through 3. This is just amazing quartet playing. And you've got the C major, which is Opus 54, number 2. One of the absolute greatest and most original of all the Haydn quartets. The performance is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, perfectly balanced, intelligent, probing. There's nothing beyond the highest level of quartet playing in these 2 discs. I wish there had been more. Boy, do I wish there had been more. The Endelian Quartet was just tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. They were, just for the record, Andrew Watkinson, Garfield Jackson, Ralph D'Souza, and David Waterman. And boy, could they play. So that is something that if you could dig that up, anything the Endelians did, you should listen to. They were just fabulous. Then we've got another one of these extras I got of the Festetics Quartet series on Arcana, which was later, reissued and boxed up. This is Opus 9. Yes, Opus 9. This contains what was arguably, and I do mean arguably, the first of the great Haydn quartets, Opus 9, number 4 in D minor. Of course, it's a minor key quartet, but they're all beautiful, and they were enormously popular in their day. And this is probably the best complete cycle that we'll get on period instruments. There are some others bopping around now, but stop bopping around now, and we'll be talking about them in due course. But this is just great, absolutely great. And so I had a spare. Then we've got, String Quartets Opus 55 with the Pinocas. Beautiful, beautiful performances on Superphone. I believe we talked about Opus 54 earlier, and some of you mentioned that they also did Opus 55. Well, here it is. The Pinoca is just a stunningly great quartet. I mean, their Dvorak was amazing, all their Czech stuff. There was, as far as I'm concerned, they could practically, they couldn't put a foot wrong. They just did exquisitely beautiful chamber music. And that's really exciting. And last but not least, this was a terribly undervalued cycle, the Opus 20s with the Hagen Quartet. The Hagen Quartet was a really fine group. They had a few discs on Deutsche Grammophon. I mean, they did really good Janacek quartets, for example. And these are exciting and really well played. They had a bit of the sort of excitement and daring do, of the Lindsays. When it came to Haydn, they didn't treat it with kid gloves, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. I mean, you're supposed to just dig in and really play it. But they had more polish and better intonation. And you hear that in these really passionate and exciting performances of the first great quartet cycle of the mature classical era, if you want to call it that. So that's it. That's some really good chamber music. Fantastic quartet boxes, most of which are out of print, and the boxes are gone, and they're all out of print somewhere, except for the Festetics. That's still around. And if you can find them, grab them, because you'll really be pleased. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.